And we are live. Here we go. Good idea. I gotta keep an eye. I gotta keep an eye on the window just to make sure that people can see what we're doing and everything. So I'm terrible for that. Yep. Okay, here we go. Anyway, all good. Who's in the house? Is it Ro? Is it Mitsuyama? You guys here? So you're on the Heineken, are you? I'm no, I wouldn't. I'm not teetotal. I'm not teetotal, but I'm. Uh, yeah, yeah. We just every now and again, a couple of times, once a month maybe. We'll have a we'll have You get well over here. There's like it's quite interesting actually. You can get they have shops where they've got beer on tap, and um you can get like they'll give you like a 2 liter bottle and just fill it of draft beer, and then you just take it home, you know. So yeah, so sometimes we'll get a bottle of that and have a little bit with the dinner and maybe one after. It's 2 liters is only about 4 pints, isn't it, in total? Yeah, I think. Well, to be honest, we would only get through half of that even. We don't really. We have a bottle of wine every now and again, especially if we're on holiday, but it doesn't really do much for me except give me a bad headache. So yes, good evening, Ro. Yeah, I came on a couple of hours ago. You see, what I have to do is 2 a.m. here right now. So I normally what I do is um, in the evening, like my wife and I will often go out for a meal on the Thursday night, and then we'll just chill out, and then she'll go to bed about midnight, and I'll try and have a bit of a sleep, before I do this, so I'm awake. Um, but that usually means I'm in a rush when I come on. But this time I've slept a bit earlier, and I've just tested everything before I came on about an hour ago, so that was all good. Anyway, anything interesting this week happening to you? Oh, now that's a good topic. I like this topic because you being an illustrator, that's a great topic, isn't it? Ah, yes. It doesn't seem to have had the sort of impact on the on there are some stories which break out of retro games world and into the mainstream, and you would have thought that would have been one. Oh, you know what? I don't think we've got. I was going to say, I don't think. Yeah, sorry, mate. We can't hear you. Everything was organised, but we can't hear you. But we'll sort that out. Right, we'll start again though. Don't worry. It always goes this way. But I think I know what to do. I think I know what to do. I think it's no, it's not that one. It's always the same with this thing, isn't it? It's so annoying. Just a minute. No, it's I always forget as well. It's like some sort of a setting on no, it's actually something on Discord. In fact, believe it or not, yeah, it's just something like there's an audio option, and it you have to sort of redirect it or something. And I always forget how to do it. Ah, here it is. Um, okay, can you say something again?
Hello, hello. Is it coming out now?
Okay, right now they can hear you, but I can't hear you. That's no good, is it?
Ah, yeah, this happened last time, I think. I'm
Okay, try
speaking.
again.
I'm speaking now. Speaking to
And
you.
again, they can hear you, but I can't hear you.
Okay, yeah,
Ay, ay, ay.
seems like.
What's happened? Right. It's very annoying. Yep, I know, guys, I know. Ah, okay, I know what to do. I know what to do, I think. Right. Okay, that's me done. And you guys can
Hello,
still.
hello.
Yep, I think we're
Hi
both
there.
on. All good. Right. Is that better, guys?
Yeah,
All good, right? Give him a second because it takes a moment to catch up.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
Yay.
okay. I'll remember. For some reason, there's some extra setting on the sound card. I don't understand why that's there, but anyway, it's off now. And we are here, and I need to just sort that out there so we can see you. Right, there we go. Good. Okay.
Cool.
Well, you know what? 9 minutes in, well, that's not bad. We normally don't get started until at least 20 minutes in.
I'm
So,
impressed.
okay. Um, Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the stream. I'm here with my good friend, Mr. Dom Reardon. How are you doing today, Dom?
Yes, really good, buddy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on the old Heineken, you were telling me.
Drinking some Heineken.
I,
Everything's
uh,
cool.
I'm on the tea, caffeine free.
Lovely.
I can see Dave Velociraptor's popped in as well. Hello, Dave. Dave and I were just chatting. Caffeine free tea, Dave. That's a good start. But anyway, we were talking about healthy options and how you reach a certain age and you have to just you have to make lifestyle choices, you know.
This does happen, doesn't it? Yes.
And yeah, they're not always. Yes, it is. Red Bush, that's what I'm on. Red Bush is so expensive here, right? It's about, what would you prefer, kilos or pounds of a price? Well, I just bought about a pound of it. It cost me about 10 quid. It's so expensive. But
Wow.
I figured out that I can, it's still only costing me about 20p for a pot of tea, so it's not too bad, you know.
Yeah.
So,
No, that's yeah. That's
yeah,
still a bit
yeah.
shocking.
Um, well, I enjoy it, so there you go. What can you do? I
Yeah,
normally
yeah.
bring it over from England, but I've been unable to come to the UK for the last 3 years now. So, um, yeah. But I am
Wow.
back. I am
You
back.
were
I
saying
bought
you
a
were going to
ticket.
come down for
Yeah, I bought a ticket.
does it
Well, there's no direct flight. Yeah, there's no direct flight to the UK, but I've bought a ticket to Frankfurt. My sister lives in Frankfurt, you see, so um, I can go there and then, see her and the nieces and everything for a couple of days or something, and then I'll come to England, and hopefully I'm coming to come to that crash event and be doing a little sort of 1 hour presentation, something Happy Coding live, something like this.
lovely?
So that'll be good. Are you planning
Mm.
to come at all, Dom? Or
I hadn't been. Well, I didn't know until you mentioned it last week
yeah, well, you're
about it.
you're practically part of
I'm
the
sort of half tempted to try and
practic.
get it together.
Yeah, well,
I
you
don't know if I will get it
practically
together. Yeah.
part of the gang now, aren't you? So
It would be nice to go. Yeah.
yeah,
Remind me where it is. Where is it again?
I think it's somewhere like Walsall, somewhere like this. Like in
That's
Midlands.
right. Yeah. Yeah. That is that. I did look it up, and that was what it was.
Anyway, before we before the microphone, when the microphone wasn't working, we couldn't hear. They couldn't hear what you were saying. You were telling me that you've been playing Monkey Island, the new one.
That's exactly what I've been doing. I've been looking forward to this since 1991, and
Yes, and we should say, guys,
it's
for those of you that don't know, Dom is an comic book illustrator, professional, and so he knows a little bit thing
true.
about art and art style, and obviously that's, I suppose, the big controversy over this new release, from what I can tell. But
I've come
before,
across this online. Yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
well,
I don't give much credence to this kind of thing,
yeah,
but
well, before we talk about that, I just wanted to say as well that I thought that Monkey Island was the kind of IP, if you like, that would break into the mainstream if a new version came out. But it doesn't seem to have made such a big splash. No, it doesn't seem like, the internet isn't going mad for it, is it?
I mean, not as much as I would like, I guess. I mean,
Hmm.
I don't know. It, I suppose in my little corner of the internet, the experience I have, it's kind of prevalent.
Yes.
But I only
Well,
look
if I
at the
think for
same.
most people, if you said to people, well, okay, maybe of a certain generation, but if you said, name a point and click adventure, or what's the greatest point and click adventure? I mean,
Yeah,
obviously there would be some accounting for taste,
yeah,
but you've got to imagine that Monkey Island is in pretty much everyone's top three, right?
absolutely.
And
I
if
would
not in
find
most
it
people's, probably the number one,
yeah,
I imagine that
yeah.
some people, obviously, there are things like, um, I know that Loom has got a real cult following. For some people, they just absolutely love
Sure,
one.
yeah, and the missed games,
Yeah,
there's other types of point and click. But
yeah, exactly. So I think,
Monkey Island are the best for me, definitely.
yeah, I have a real soft spot for Flight of the Amazon Queen. I don't know if you've played that.
Of course I have. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I got.
Oliver, you
I'm stuck.
won't find
I can't get past it. I was playing it on my PS Vita. So the PlayStation Vita
great.
has got it can run Scum on it, and I was playing it on that, and I'm
Lovely.
still trying to get past that gorilla though.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, I've got to the jungle, but I can't get past the gorilla. Anyway, yeah, Monkey Island is
Yeah.
it's definitely it's like what Doom is to FPS, right? And Monkey Island is the point and click,
Yes,
isn't it? Really?
exactly. Yeah, it's hyper significant.
Yeah.
Um,
Seminal is the
and I
word,
would
isn't it?
hope
Really?
that everyone in the world is excited about it this week.
Yes. Um, yes, Dave is saying that he likes exploration and storytelling, combination of both. And I
Yeah,
agree with that. It's a narrative, isn't it? It's engagement. It's immersion, isn't it? You can. I can remember.
exactly.
Yes, I mean, the last time I haven't played Monkey Island for. I'm not going to say 30 years. I'm going to say I haven't played it for about 4 years, maybe. Um, There's a version on the Xbox 360,
Yeah.
um, and myself and my cousin played it. We were on Xbox Live chatting. This is before streaming was such a big thing, and so we
Oh,
we
that's
both
quite
had the
fun.
game running, and we were both talking about, oh, we're here. Oh, try this. Okay, let's go over here, and we were just matching each other's
Great.
game,
Yeah,
and that was a lot of fun. That was really a lot of fun. We didn't complete it, but we got about halfway through, I think, and yeah, you
yeah,
can really lose yourself in a game like that, and it's got a great sense of humor. The puzzles are at the right level, you know.
absolutely.
You know
Yeah.
that game we were playing last week? It was we were kind of drawn into that game, but then the puzzles we weren't getting the sort of
Well, it wasn't giving us the payoff, was it?
Yeah,
And
that's
not,
the.
yeah,
Thank you. You took the words out of my mouth there. Yeah, we weren't getting the payoff. It was just we're like, well, we tried this, we tried it, and then eventually you get to the point where you feel like, well, I've just tried everything in a combination, and eventually I've got lucky, you know.
yeah,
So I think this it's nice to have a little bit of an element of luck in in these games. You know, you get lucky, you try something and it
yeah.
comes off, and you feel good because oh wow, that's great, you know. But sometimes you're just constantly just repeating and trying everything. And that goes
It's a
right
very
back to the
difficult
text
balance.
adventures as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Did you
It's
play
a
many
difficult thing.
did you play text adventures? I mean, they're the precursor to the old point and click, aren't they?
Yeah, not. I was never so successful with them, and I guess I was that bit younger. When I was playing text adventures, I was probably a bit too young to be dealing with them really.
Yeah.
Um,
I had a kind of
but yeah,
moment. I can remember that I was playing, I had a Dragon 32 before I had the Spectrum. And there weren't many
mm,
games, and there was this one game, I think it was called Mansion Adventure, and I'd never played a text adventure before. This is about around 1982, and um, I was exploring this mansion, trying to, and this there was a it was called Killer Mansion, and you're in this mansion, and there was some sort of a murderer in the mansion, and so you're wandering around trying to figure out, how to escape. And it's not a very good game, but there was just this one moment where there was um, there was a skeleton in one room, and
mm,
so you tried look skeleton, and it's like looks like he's been here for some time, and and all this sort of thing. And for ages I couldn't figure it out, and then one time I just for some what it just kind of dawned on me, and I went move skeleton, you know,
what skeleton? Sorry,
I move skeleton, you know,
move. Right.
yeah, and and maybe Curtis Boyle knows about this game, Mansion Adventure. It's not a great game, but for me, it hooked me into text adventure because I'd never got such a thrill
Yeah.
when the text just said the skeleton rolls over. There is a
Mm,
knife clenched in his hand,
wonderful.
and I was
Yeah.
like,
And that's the feeling when you
yes.
get stuck for a long time. If you don't get stuck for a while, then you don't get that feeling of payoff
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
action.
But and
And you have,
the thing about that, to be fair, that was like, yeah, that's something that you could have thought of doing that's reasonable, right?
yes,
Not like
yes,
combine the beer can with the bumblebee and the toilet roll, and you've got like a sort of stinger gun or something, right?
yeah.
Or something
Well,
ridiculous like this.
use monkey with pump. That's the classic Monkey Island one.
What's that one?
Use monkey with pump. That was,
Oh,
I think,
I
from
see.
Monkey Island 2.
Right.
It's like a classic example of a non sequitur. It's not a
Yes.
good.
Yeah.
It wasn't a good puzzle.
Yeah. And the other thing that game had, and again, this is what made Monkey Island so kind of um, groundbreaking in a way. It seems surprising, but the random deaths weren't there in the way that they were with some of those other point and click games. I think.
Sure. Yeah. Well, that was the big decision they made, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Apart from when you go and look at the edge of that rock on Lookout Point on Monkey
Yeah.
Island,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
thought you
Yeah. Because again,
which some
that game, though there were
absolutely.
two things. That game we played last week, by the way, for those of you that weren't here, guys, which I guess there's only five of you here anyway. But so we played this game called Zombie Mall, and it was a good game. It was a nice
Yeah, it
idea,
was.
and it was basically Dawn of the Dead, and you had to go and find bits and of. It was part adventure, part arcade. You had to um, kind of find bits of items and supposedly you were supposed to combine them. I mean, let me just I might as well just bring it up here because I've probably got it available on the thing, right? So yeah, for those of you who didn't see it, I won't play it for long, but we'll just briefly. Hey Curtis, by the way, yeah, Charles Forsyth, he's like a legend adventure writer for the Coco, right? Didn't he write that one called oh, what was it called? It's like it's set in a kind of abbey, like, and you have to gather all these satanic pieces together to create a spell to destroy the. Um, I think it's called something Sanctum, Black Sanctum. That was a really good adventure game, really good. In fact, excellent. Oh, Ninja Warrior. Yes, I remember now. Charles Forsyth. That's where I remember that name from. Ninja Warrior. Not a great game, but not a terrible game. That's on the Coco. It's kind of like Moon Patrol, but with ninjas, if you can imagine such a thing. You got this running ninja, and he's got to jump over things like Moon Patrol, and then yeah. So yeah, the game looked nice. You can see. We'll just show it quickly. You know, you run around the mall, and then there are
I've
zombies.
been meaning to go back and play
Right.
this again, actually,
You know,
because
there's a
there's
zombie there,
really
and
more.
the zombies don't really come after you unless you're close to them. Then they notice you, and then they stop. And you basically. Oh, I need a key for that, don't I? You gotta, you know, it's a bit like I wouldn't say attic attack really, but um, you know, you run around and you got to collect stuff and combine it, and presumably that's how you manage to escape. You've got to get the fuel tank and fill the car and maybe drive the car somewhere and then get something. I don't know, but anyway, it is a good game, but there are two big problems. Oh, I'm bleeding. I've not seen that before.
Yeah, that's another quite interesting thing.
But I'm only bleeding on this level. I'm not bleeding on. Oh, I'm still bleeding here. I'm not
It
bleeding in
seems
here.
to happen. The bleeding seems to increase when there are monsters near, in terms of the border flashing. I don't know why.
Oh, I see. Right, you only bleed when there's a zombie. That's a bit. Um,
Or maybe
that's a
it's
bit of an oversight.
representative of zombies. I don't know, something to do with the bleeding and the zombies. I couldn't quite work it out.
Yes. Anyway, two things about this game, just to recap. One, we already said the objects are a little bit random and difficult. We didn't get the payoff. And then,
No
you
payoff.
know,
That was
yeah,
my big beef with it.
that's well, yeah. But I mean, me personally, the thing that really annoyed me was you could go, you would be in the building. I
It
think it
was
was
the
you go
door
down,
to the
yeah,
outside.
you go downstairs, right, like this. Go downstairs, and I think,
Really harsh.
yeah, I mean, this is just not right, is it? You go downstairs, you go that right there we go. I'm in the build. There I am on the floor one, which now is that the ground floor? Possibly because this is a Spanish game. I think maybe it is. So this looks fine, right? Look, there's a door there, right? Look at that door there. I think, am I right in
Yeah,
thinking that?
this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
look. So you
this is.
go, okay, I'll go out this door, and guess what? You're dead. Game over. Game over, man. That is so wrong. I mean, that's just wrong because
It's
that
just
means, and
unbelievable. Yeah.
it's not the only exit, right? It's not like you do it once and you go, okay, don't go there again, right? There's probably three or four of those.
Mm. Yeah,
And
that's
so you've got
misunderstood.
to die four times to learn that you can't go that way.
Yeah. And
And
then you forget where it was and you walk out of it again.
yeah, and all it needed is like there is a horde of zombies outside. You cannot go that way, or as an exit sign or whatever. That's it. That's all it would need, but it didn't have it, and so it. You know, I don't expect my games to be handholdy, but that's just unfair.
Yeah, harsh.
But that brings us back. Let's talk about Monkey Island a little bit more because obviously it's a good topic. Um, so they avoided that, and that was a big step forward in in adventure games generally that it was more, it was reasonable. You could get stuck,
Yeah,
yes, and you could die. Of course, you could the game. Of course, the game could be over if you did something daft, and then you're like, okay, I won't do that again,
yeah.
or whatever. But
I heard
not
there's
not
also
like that. That
various
was that what you just saw there. I mean, it was just that's just ridiculous.
because the Sierra games had harsh deaths.
Yes, exactly. And sometimes
So
they
I think,
just do it to make the game longer or something.
yeah,
I don't know. It's a peculiarity of early, certainly early to mid '80s games that seems to be a bit of a hangover, you know.
yeah.
Whereas I think you find that in quite a few games actually. I mean, we were playing. This is before you came on, but we were playing that game Commandos, where you have to raid a castle, and there was random deaths in that as well. But it was a really good game. It's just a shame because it
Yeah, I
really
watched you
lifts
play
it. Yeah, it lifts a game can be lifted from 6 out of 10 to 8 or 9 out of 10.
that.
Um, yes, and I'm surprised because as Dave is saying in the chat there, this is Mojon Twins, are very well known, very well established
Mm.
authors.
Well, it was
You know,
good. Yeah, I don't know.
um,
Just a bit
they
honest.
must have probably, I don't know, 6 or 7 games that they've done, maybe more, probably more.
Right?
Um, so you'd think that that wouldn't be something you'd expect that in a game if it was their first game or something.
You would think that would get picked up, yeah, and
But
fixed
there you
before.
go, and this is one of the reasons why we decided to do this little look at video games because we wanted to, rather than review
Yeah.
old games, we wanted to look at modern homebrew, but not just kind of blow smoke, and say, "Oh wow, it's amazing! Wow,
Mhm.
brilliant!" Because people do that because obviously they want to give encouragement to the authors, but
Yeah.
um, I think
Which I do
as
want to do, and I
absolutely,
can't say
yeah,
enough.
but I think
It was fun.
myself and Andy, and I guess you as well. We played games for a long time. You know,
Sure. Yeah.
um,
Many years.
certainly um, we've played games longer than we haven't played games. Let's put it that way. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
if you see what I mean. Starting
There's
40 years
experience
ago
there.
or something. But then again, kids growing up today, I guess they don't even remember when there weren't games. But anyway, going back to this. Okay, so let's talk about the art style in Monkey Island because I have to say personally, yeah, I wasn't that taken with it myself, but I'm aware that I mean, I'm slightly aware that it might just be my personal taste. Just felt a little bit, how can I put it? Like when you watch modern Disney and you can just, when you watch the CGI and stuff, you can sort of tell that a lot of the animations and everything have been done procedurally.
I mean, as you can imagine, I've got a lot to say on this
Well,
topic
good.
of
Well, I'm good.
eventually.
I'm happy to hear it because I talk too much. So let you go ahead. Let me hear what you're going to say.
Well, in terms specifically about Monkey Island,
Yeah.
uh, I don't understand what problem with the art style is that seems to have created some sort of feeling of controversy.
Mm.
Um, I find that confusing. Um, the art style seems in keeping with what it's always been
Yes.
to a large extent. Um, yeah, it's an odd one. I don't know what. I mean, the point of an art style is that it wants to fit with the story and work with the humor and the atmosphere and the environment,
Hmm.
which I can absolutely say, having been playing it this week, in my opinion, it does that really, really well,
Yes.
which is what the old pixel art style did. The, the issue that some people have is that it's not pixel art.
Yes. Well, this is the
To me,
thing. So
it's a very
if you just come to
piece
this
of
game, if you just come to this game having not played the others, having not had the experience from 30 years or so ago,
yeah.
without the expectations, then you think that people would they would enjoy it more.
I I don't know. I'm baffled by the people who perhaps were fans that don't like the art style because it's not pixel art. That to
Yeah, yeah,
me
yeah.
is entirely.
I can understand that. I mean, look, there's as always when we have these discussions, it's personal taste,
Because it
isn't it?
was
You
never
know.
a pixel art game. It was never supposed to be pixel art. It was limited by its time graphically.
Yes. Well, Dave, what Dave is saying there is that, and perhaps I can add a little bit to what he's saying. When we played it back then, right,
Yeah.
there was a sense of wonder because there was a sense of achievement in terms of those graphics, right? It was
Yes.
like, how have they done that? That look at that! Oh my God, right? And you were watching the effects is so cinematic, right? It's like wow,
I would say it
and
was
so
the
that was
gameplay
really yes, but I think
on the Amiga.
aesthetically, it was groundbreaking as well, right? It was cutting edge. It was top of the. If
There
you,
were better graphics games out at that time, I
yes,
felt,
not.
but there was nothing that had done gameplay like that or had
Well.
pushed
This is what I
story.
mean. You know, well, I mean, this is something Andy and I often talk about. Is the difference between um, the illustrative kind of element and also the animation element, the movement, and everything like that. You know, obviously you've got games like Another World, maybe, right, that have
Sure,
um,
good call.
incredible
I mean, I
animation,
was
right? But the graphics
comes
themselves,
the world.
if you look at the images of Another World as static images, they ain't all that, right? It's all about the complexity of the animation and the amount of frames that are involved and everything, right?
No, that's where I have to take. No, I think they are all that. You can take a still from that because of the color choices. Because I think they're brilliant as static images.
Well, again, it's taste, isn't it?
Yeah,
I'm not saying they're
that has
terrible.
actual
I'm not saying it's
quality.
terrible, and I think it actually has stood the test of time, probably better than,
Mm.
and it does have its own unique style,
Yeah,
you know. But
yeah,
I'm look to be I'm sticking to my guns there, and I'm going to say that yeah, sometimes if you were to, I love Another World, I love the animation, I love the game, I finished it and everything else. It's one of my all-time favorites.
yeah.
Um, but you know, say I'm a heretic if you want, but there are points in that game where if you paused it, it looks like clip art. You know, it looks like '90s clip art.
Yeah, you're a heretic. You put it wrong, mate.
um, but yeah, I think that this is all personal taste. I love the game. I think it looks amazing. I think it's a
Yes, no,
fantastic
I
achievement. I think it has character. It has its own unique
yeah.
style in the way that even you know I'm going to swing right round the other way now and go from clip art to Van Gogh or Picasso or whatever. You know, like they have a style of their own that isn't always appealing to everybody,
It's
but
got
it
an
is
art style.
unique, right?
Yeah,
Mm. And it's
which leads us
consistent.
back to
Yes.
Monkey Islands.
And but my
Because
point here, and I think this is the point that Dave wanted to make, is that this is a this is a game at the time that was incredibly innovative, right? And you might not necessarily say that the graphics were unsurpassed, and you're probably right, but nevertheless, they were top draw, right? They were in that top level. in terms of the number of frames and the animations and everything else, right? In my opinion. So that was a really groundbreaking, amazing game. And if you then
Yeah.
try to replicate that feeling, you're just not really going to get there, right? So it does,
It's
of course,
very
it's not going to have the same impact, is it? Because we've had like, I mean,
well. It
I
depends.
sometimes wonder. I mean, I'm a huge fan of, let's say, I mean, I'm a huge fan of the Beatles, right? Now,
Sure.
are you a fan of the Beatles?
Yes. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So, I mean, let's say, for example, Tomorrow Never Knows, right? Now, I love Tomorrow Never Knows. I'm sure most Beatles fans love Tomorrow Never Knows. But
Sure.
I don't think we cannot imagine what it must have been like to hear that song in sort of 65, 66, whenever it was that it was released, right? Because at the time, people just, we just people hadn't heard anything like that before,
Yeah, I get you.
right?
This is
So,
interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
1966, yeah, yeah, just double checking. Um,
But I suppose what my feeling is about great songs like that, or great games like Monkey Island, is the, the graphics or the production are always going to be of their time, but there's a special thing inside them that is not of its time, that surpasses and withstands. And that's why Tomorrow Never Knows is great, and that's why Monkey Island is great.
yes,
And they were never about the production or the graphics. There was something
but
inside
there's
that
something that
was,
doesn't sit well if you listen to a cover version of Tomorrow Never Knows or a remix or something where they've added some kind of additional beat on the top, right? Then you're kind of like, well, that's kind of jarring with me a little bit, and I'm not sure about that because it doesn't feel like the original.
um, yeah, that's not the feeling I had playing the recent Monkey Island.
Yeah, because I get
Because I
well,
think,
since we're using the Beatles, I in general I have a soft spot for the Beatles reunion tracks, right? Free as a Bird and Real Love. I have a soft spot for them, right? I enjoy them and I like them a lot, but I don't consider them in the same category, really.
yeah,
You know?
well, I mean, I I really like Paul McCartney too.
The second McCartney,
Yeah, yeah, the second
the second one.
McCartney.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Well, listen. I mean, I
um,
no, no. You might be surprised because a lot of Beatles fans are not such a big fans of Paul's work, but
no, I am.
I
I
am.
think he's great.
I actually think that for myself and my wife, we kind of discovered Ram pretty late. Even just in the last few years. I was aware of it, but I never got into. But we absolutely love that album now. I mean, I would say
Cool.
we rank it as highly as some of the Beatles albums. And we sang Monkberry Moon Delight karaoke, and people were so confused; they had no idea what song it was, and it was just so much fun. Um,
Lovely.
but anyway, that's music. This is not a music stream, isn't it? But yes,
No,
um,
tangent.
absolutely. Well, McCartney too is temporary secretary, right?
Say again?
Temporary secretary is on McCartney too. Am I right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and that's aged well.
I think so.
Yeah,
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 there's
yeah. It
lots of
has.
synth stuff, and kind of crazy. It was quite progressive. It's kind of
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
street.
Yeah, no, yeah, I gotta say, I've got a lot of time for Paul's work in the '70s.
Yeah.
There's a great YouTube series if you have a chance to watch it. Someone's done like a 5 hour, 5 section, each one's an hour documentary about Paul McCartney's life post the Beatles,
Oh wow.
and
Oh, that would be fun.
it's great. It's really good. I mean, it's not it's not like an official. Um, it's not. I don't think it's
Sure.
published outside of YouTube. It's actually someone's done it.
Mm,
Just a dedicated fan.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And he just loves music, doesn't he? He just loves it to his core.
Yeah.
But anyway, the story's good though. You're enjoying the story, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. I think everything's come together with it for me. I mean, I feel a little bit sort of a little bit cross that there seemed to be some sort of prejudgment about the art style. I find it confusing and odd, um, but I can tell you from my experience, it works well
Yeah,
with the
yeah,
game.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Well, you can. I guess after a while, you get immersed in the story, right?
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, as I said, I haven't played it. I don't know. I wasn't that taken with it myself, but
but you
perhaps.
thought the first one was exceptional
Well, for its time, for its time is what I'm saying. I'm not. I don't. I think.
because I just don't think it was really. It was good,
Yeah.
but it wasn't a crazy graphics game. It never was. It
Mm,
was
mm.
was what was special was that it broke you out of it, broke the fourth wall in a way that other games never
Yes.
had.
Yeah, yeah. I
And
understand what you. And just to clarify, my point in terms of it being groundbreaking is not necessarily to do purely with the aesthetic, but also with the movement and the animation and the various very tiny little details and little things. Like there are
yeah,
times when it's just one or two
that's what it
pixels,
was.
right?
Exactly. It was like you say animations. The animations are very rudimentary, but it was attention to detail. That's
Yes.
exactly
Yeah, yeah,
what it
yeah.
was.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
had exactly the frame that they needed.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
wasn't many frames.
Sometimes it was even 2 pixels, and it would make you laugh.
Exactly. So, yeah, yeah. It
Yeah.
was beautifully done from that point of view,
Yeah, yeah.
for sure.
Good. So we found some common ground there, right?
Yeah,
But
but that's what
Curtis is just talking
exactly
about
I think
old
this.
movies and things, but well, you and I are big fans of old movies, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And would I be right in saying, I mean, do we share the view that, because I'm going to disagree a little bit with Curtis here, but I mean,
I'm just
the
reading something. Sure.
films that I like, to be honest, I think I apply this to the films, to the games, to the whatever it might be, music.
Mm,
In and of themselves, they are great now and great then, right? I mean, if they were great then and they're still great now, that's a sign of really high quality art, if you like, right? I mean, people,
absolutely. Yeah,
you don't go
yeah.
back like obviously you're a comic book fan, obviously, so like I could read a sort of 1960s Marvel comic today, and I wasn't around in the 60s, but I just love it, right? Because it looks great and it's great fun and the art is great, it's like Steve Ditko or whatever, things like this, and you just think
Sure.
fantastic, right? And it is what it is. And then I have the same feeling about my favorite movies, most of which are from before I was born. Um,
Yeah,
I love The Third Man, the cinematography and the beauty of it. It's just the shadows,
yeah.
and Orson Welles. I'm just a huge Orson Welles fan as well. Um,
Yeah, things
And
that are good are genuinely good. They'll always be good.
yeah,
I guess this
that's
is.
true. But there are also things that are kind of, you know, we talked about Hammer films, right?
Mm,
And again, I don't know because I mean I can even I would talk about Hammer films, but I remember there was a lot of controversy about someone. There was like the hundred greatest British films, right? And I think there might have been a Hammer film in there, but I'm almost certain that Carry On Up the Khyber was also in there, right?
well, yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
But I'm gonna say that there is another element um, which I appreciate, and I also appreciate it in homebrew. So we're kind of bringing it back nicely to that. Is that you can see that people are in love with what they're doing,
Yes.
and they
And
might
that's
not be
pretty
doing
important.
it. They might not be doing it like as to the level of um, great, of the great masters or something like this. They might not be. They're not gonna. The people that are like when you watch a Carry On film, for example, right? And there's a lot of them aren't very good, but some of them are, and no one's going to suggest that you should be comparing them to sort of Ingmar Bergman or something. But there's a lot of love and a lot. They're obviously having a really good time making those films, and it does come through. So, why not in that sense?
I mean, I think comparing a Carry On film to a Hammer film is entirely fair. There's in a way, there's a similar passion behind them.
Yeah, there is, there is. I mean, it's interesting because you've got that kind of, you can see in those films, you can see this kind of like we've got no budget and we've got a studio or owners, producers that just want to make money from this and just churn it
Yeah,
out. Um, but we really love what we're doing, so we're gonna do the best we
yeah.
can with this very limited resources.
You definitely get that sense, don't you? Yeah.
Um, and you can tell, but there are times when you can tell there are other films um, which some people might compare them to, where you can see they're just dialing it in, and it's
Mm.
rubbish, or it's just a lot of gore or a lot of sex or whatever, just to fill up the screen and sell the movie quickly. Um, but yeah, no, I love.
Yeah,
I'm not going to say I love Carry On films, but there are elements of Carry On films that I do really enjoy and appreciate.
sure. Yeah.
I like a bit of ribaldry. So anyway, let's move on, right? So is I don't know if Andy is about actually, but anyway, we'll move on. We'll move on. We've had a good chat there. To be honest, I could chat
Yeah.
about this all night. I really could, but
Yes. I mean, I've got more on Monkey Island.
oh,
Maybe we
go
can
on
come
then, go
back
on.
to
Let's have a little bit more. Go on.
No, I'm just saying that. I don't
Okay.
have anything. I don't
All
have
right.
a burning thing
So
to say.
yeah, look, I tell you what I will say, right? Is for people who are saying, oh, it's not, oh, it should be pixel art, oh, it should be this, Well, look, if you don't really like it, then get up and do something yourself. Make something if you want to do that, get up and do it. Don't. I mean, it's this
Yeah,
this is
I
a
suppose I just
this is
have this desire to come down on Ron Gilbert and Dave Grossman's side here and say, screw you guys, to the people who are saying that.
yeah,
Because
yeah. Do it if this is
it's,
what I want to
I think
do,
it's a little bit
and this is
pathetic
the
to
only way
say,
that yeah, and this is what I want to do. This is what I'm into. This is what I like. You know.
yeah,
And if you think this is my McCartney 2, then, so tough for you. Go back and play the old
yeah,
game. Go back and play the old one. See if I care. You enjoy that, you go and
yeah.
play it again, you know.
This is it. Yeah, it's
So-
never taking the old thing away. And,
well, exactly. That's the thing. We've had that conversation a few times, because I've done, remixes of games as well, and people have been like, "Oh no, I
yeah,
prefer the original." It's fine. I haven't deleted the original from the internet. Just go and
Yeah.
play it. It's fine. If you don't like it, it's no problem, not at all. In fact, you
Mm.
can't. I'm sure with your sort of work that you can't please everyone, can you?
No, I try not to. I try not to pay much attention to who's pleased and who isn't.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
way,
yeah.
life's madness. You
Yes,
just do the work.
yeah, yes, exactly. Cool. I was going to say though, I mean, it would be a bit weird if someone did. Well, how would you feel? Here's an interesting idea. How would you feel if so you're just remind me again that the work that you did in 2000 AD, that was what was the name of the series again?
Kabbalistics was the main
Yes.
series I did. Yeah,
So
yeah.
if somebody sort of resurrected that and they didn't ask you to come back and someone else did it and it was all done in a, say, I don't know, sort of manga style or something.
Well, this hasn't happened, but
No.
to a lesser extent, this has happened
Okay. Oh well, do tell.
because characters that I've designed have cropped up, done by other artists without any checking in with me or anything like that, and you just
Mm,
have to lump it, and
yeah.
it doesn't always feel good.
No, reading between the lines there. Yeah, I can see
Yeah.
what you mean. Just to respond to what Dave was saying there, he said that there's only one art style that they could have done that's better, and it would have been the voxel style 3D. Well, maybe, but I would. We're still stuck on this topic. I, I think it would have been. I think there is another style that they could have done, but I think it would have been almost impossible to pull off, right? Which would be like an animated version of the box art, you know?
Yeah, well, that's pretty much what they went for with Tim Schafer's game, isn't it? But what was it called? Um, where they were in the two different worlds. Um, you with me?
Mm,
Uh,
no, you'll have to remind me which. If you
I can't get the name of it, but again, it was a point and click. Tim Schafer, who did the Tentacle, and he was involved in Monkey Island as well, and he
right,
went on and all sorts of things. And here's one that, again, there was a lot of controversy over the style. I thought it was really cool, but he did go for a painted sort of box art style to some extent. I mean, a little different to the Monkey Island box art.
yes. Where are we here? Grim Fandango, Curse of Monkey
No,
Island,
the one after that,
Psychonauts,
no, after that, more recent.
The Cave.
Hang on. No, the cave was the other guy. That was
The art style of The Cave is quite is. Am I? Would I be the Monkey
great.
Island? The new Monkey Island and the art style of The Cave is actually not that different, is it? There's some similarities there.
But yeah, there's definitely similarities. The cave is really, really good.
It
That's from
is.
Gilbert
It
also.
is. It's
I'm going to
excellent.
find out
It's
what this
excellent. The
shape.
Cave. It is. Day of the Tentacle remastered.
No,
Full throttle.
it's it's amazing how many you're going through and not finding the one.
It's not Connect Party, is it? No.
Um,
Iron Brigade.
hang
Costume Quest. Brutal Legend.
This is extraordinary. It's everything but. So
Broken
something
Age.
about there being more than one world. Um, Broken Age, Broken Age,
Right.
Broken Age,
Right. I see. Yeah.
Broken Age is what I'm talking about. Which again, that was it was like touted as being a big return to form for Tim Schafer doing point and clicks,
Right.
and people kind of ripped it a bit.
Yeah.
And again, they didn't like the art style, and it's like, well, what are you supposed to do with a point and click game? It's almost as if you don't do pixel art.
Yeah. You're in
For
trouble.
some reason, that does people's heads in, and I don't get it.
Pixel Nazis. That's what they are.
The For me, the greatest uh, art on Monkey Island games was Monkey Island 3,
Right.
where it had, that wasn't pixel art, that was hand drawn.
Yes.
And also, I can also say, sorry, I'm getting a bit carried,
No,
but
no,
the
no. Please
Monkey,
do. I love it. I'm happy because I'm the one that talks too much, like I said.
in
So
Monkey Island 2, they weren't pixel art, they were paintings, actual
yeah.
physical paintings. And the reason they look pixely is because that's all the computer display. They were
Right.
literally painted.
Wow.
So it's kind of, yeah, the idea that it should be pixels is just so insane, because they were supposed to be, that's all the computer could display of.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a bit like saying
Yeah,
I don't like Tomorrow Never Knows because it's not four guys with a rhythm guitar, lead guitar, bass and drums, and that's all. What's all this other remixing stuff? What's all this weird backwards,
sure.
whatever?
Yeah,
Why have you done that? We don't like it. It's like Dylan Goes Electric, right?
yeah, I
You know.
guess.
But I love Dylan's electric stuff. I mean, it was just
Yeah,
it's like
well,
a
I'm happy
natural
that, yeah,
evolution, right? Of course. He was
can
always
do
he was
whatever.
always a rock and roller, at
Yeah,
heart. So yeah. Well, like we
anyway,
say, we
thanks
really have milked
for
we milked it.
tolerating.
But people have expectations. When you've got a big name thing like that, people have big expectations.
Yeah,
I absolutely love Shenmue and Shenmue 2 on the Dreamcast. I
you
haven't played
play them.
I haven't played
I've never.
Shenmue 3. I even donated to the Kickstarter, not to get the
Yeah,
game, but just to help to get it made.
people
Um,
love those, don't
and apparently, that game is pretty true to the old style. It
they? Great.
feels like that. But I don't know. Some people hated it because of that, right?
Yeah.
Um, since then, I've absolutely fallen in love with the Yakuza series, which it just one of my favorite game series of all time now. Just
Interesting.
fantastic and funny, and the story, really, really engaging storylines with huge twists, and just, yeah. But it's
Not played any
just,
of those.
yeah, it's just so much fun. You should play Yakuza Zero, for example. Yeah, start. That's a good start.
There's
But it's
one.
hilarious because at one minute you're sort of fighting some mad yakuza guy on a motorbike with your samurai sword, and he's got machine guns, and and then the next minute you're playing Scalextrics with a bunch of kids in a little stadium, and then and so on, right? It's like that. It's like one minute you do this, and the second, and that's what I love about it is that it really is a kind of you go into the game and you're like, oh yeah, today I'm just going to kick ass, and then other times you're like, I'm just going to wander around and meet random people and in Japan who
Yeah.
who've got weird problems.
Hmm.
And some of the people you meet are like properly strange, and they've got weird fetishes and stuff, and it's just hilarious. It's just
Yeah.
absolutely hilarious. I mean, very adult humor, but still, just I don't think I've ever laughed so much at a game,
Mhm.
really. But anyway, I digress. Um, and Dave says, even if I don't agree with all of the choices, it's still a good game and I'm still enjoying it. That's right, Dave. You tell him.
Oh,
It
I'm
is.
glad you're
It's still.
enjoying it.
It is. I'm sure it is a great game. I'm sure it is. Yeah. Anyway, we have talked a lot. Unfortunately, um, the game we're looking at today, I don't think we need to talk about it to any great length. Um, but we can have a quick chat and then we'll do some coding. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
So this is a game by Gabriele Amore, who's a friend of mine, really. Not I don't know him personally, but we've worked together on
Well,
a
I
few
tried
games.
it, and I thought the graphics were rather splendid.
Yes, well, you may have seen. I don't know if you've played one of my recent games, Chez Maxime.
Yes, well, I've not
Yeah.
played it. I
Okay,
have.
but
That's what I was.
Gabriele was a collaborated with me on that, and
Yeah, yeah.
we did the graphics together. But I have to say the best bits are his, in terms of the graphics. He knows how to get more from tiny little pixels than anyone else I know. Really, he really does get character out of them.
Absolutely. One of the first things I realized, the Happy Coding Facebook group is the Gabriele, the total art genius.
Well, it's a term that we don't use lightly, but he's very, very good at that for sure.
I absolutely mean that. I think there's something there, that's different to, there's not that many people that can do that with
Yeah,
Spectrum graphics.
yeah, yeah. And he's kind of taken a little break. He's to be honest with you, I think he might have been a little bit Ron Gilberted in the sense that he got a little bit tired of people being quite demanding about some of his work.
That's
And he's
harsh.
like, well, I'm just doing it for fun. But it is look, there is a thing with Gabriele because he loves the graphics, he loves the colors, so he
Yeah,
tends
yeah.
to make the games in a way that they don't. There's no color clash, but then it's quite jerky.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it bothered me. I mean, I didn't realize this was his game, but now I know that. Perfect sense because it fits all of those things that are the parameters you have to use. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
yeah.
Basically, yeah.
So yeah, so when you play Gabriele's games, some of them they all look really great, but
Yeah, in a slightly
the
special way.
gameplay, the quality of the game kind of depends on how well the game is suited to that kind of 8 pixel movement.
Yeah,
Um, but this game is great because it does show you, and that's one of the reasons I picked it. He hasn't done a game for a while, and this is kind of an update to his original one called Frantic Pengo. Um, and
this is an arcade franchise, right?
Well,
We
well,
were
okay,
touching on.
yeah. So we'll just cover that. It's interesting because I remember that this game Pengo as being up there with, no, maybe not up there with Pac-Man, but certainly on the level of a sort of like a Mr. Do or something like that. It was pretty.
Shoot water. Is that what happened in it?
Hmm?
Did he shoot like streams of water,
No,
or
no, no. You had like blocks of ice that you slid
that's
around,
it?
and there were
Yeah.
these little
Okay.
fluffy creatures. I think they were called snow bees, and you could squash them with. I mean, it's similar to this really. But
Yeah.
what he's done here, I would say, is he's got a kind of combination of Pengo mixed with something like Load Runner, right?
Yeah.
Because and the reason I say Load Runner is because you got those Load Runners, you've got those tiny little graphics,
Yeah.
but um, they look really nice. And
Yeah.
one of the this is written in AGDX Mini, and one of the reasons I'm sorry about this noise, by the way, guys, with this reconnect and disconnect. I don't know. I think I've got a loose cable, so I'm going to see if I can fix that. That might help. Apologies for that noise. Um, Hopefully it's stopped now. Right, let me get my thread. So yeah, when I did AGDX Mini, I wanted to kind of encourage people to make games with these really tiny little sprites, where you're kind of working with you can actually do a lot more with it. One of the things you'll probably be learning as
Absolutely.
as as we as we learn more about coding on the spectrum, it's very much geared towards printing in character squares because originally the
Mm.
idea was that it was a kind of business machine. Um, yeah, and I think were we talking about negative space at some point, or was that another? I think that was another conversation I had with someone else. But
Maybe.
But one of the things that Gabriele does with his graphics, that I think the thing that makes him the skill that he has is his ability to work with negative space, right? In the sense that he leaves gaps in the pixels, and your mind fills in those gaps.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
In a brilliant.
Yeah, and that's what works. That works so well. Yeah, as you can see, I mean, the graphics look really nice. So in this game, well, okay, let's get the eye
Yeah.
for the info, right? So um, M to start. You have to kill blocks, connect. Oh, you have to connect. Okay, so um,
Yeah.
let's
You
see.
push the plus sides together, basically, isn't it? I
Yeah,
didn't get very
so
far with
so
it.
it's a very very it's a very very tiny little sprites, but super kind of pretty and cute. And but oh, by the way, the music is really good. So
The music's
let me just
great.
give you a little
Yeah.
blast of that.
Oh, I don't get it, do I? Of course.
Okay, I'll turn the music off again now. So the object of this game is to oh, what's happened? How did I die then? I don't know.
If you press
I think the game
M
gets
key,
stuck at game over. Is there a way to get out of game over? Do you know? Is it M to start
try
again?
press M.
Yeah, I am pressing M, but
Ah, it's not working. Yeah, no, that happened to me. This one did. This one crashed a few times for me. I
well,
was having a.
this is the thing. This is not like a final release or anything. It's just well, anyway.
But
Yeah,
other than the.
it takes a little while to get used to what you're doing. I mean, look, I died like straight away then, but if you the idea is that you destroy these monsters, and but you've also got to like collect these
You
little
put
blocks and join them
the
together.
buses. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what I found
Put.
is that a good tactic here is if you wait, if you can get a block lined up like this on a, then you can just slide it right across, you know.
Yeah, that's exactly how I was doing it.
So like he's after me here, right? But I might be able to just. Oh, come on! I thought I did that then. Oh dear. I did find though that the sometimes the blocks got squashed a little bit too easily. Okay, I'm doing a bit better now. Should have enough time to get you. Oh, that went straight through. Did it not? I think it did. He's not getting
Oh,
away.
I
He's
see.
there.
Yeah, on that.
All
Yeah,
right.
that
So
went straight
yeah. So I
through.
mean, you got a time limit as well. So you've got to kind of figure out what you're doing
Yeah,
to get everything in line. But how am I doing? I should be all right for timing. So yeah,
got
those are
plenty of time. Got to
yeah.
get those
All
blocks
right.
together.
So I guess I should just clear a path like that, and then put that together.
Yeah, yeah. Take the ones out.
There, that's it. Good. And then it's time to leave. Nice. The door opens, and away you go. Well done. Press a key. And I think it gets harder quite quickly, doesn't it? That one wasn't too tough, but
Well, I only got past the first one.
yeah,
I found this quite a difficult game, I must say.
it is a challenge, all right. Because look, I mean, ooh. So those puzzle blocks, I'll call them puzzle blocks, I suppose. You can't. Seems like you can't. Got rid of one of them there. yeah, you can't kill the yeah, you can't kill the enemy
with the green ones.
with the green ones, which I think would be nice if you could, to be honest.
That's all. That's what yeah, I didn't realise. That seems to be the case, doesn't it?
Yeah. But anyway, it is a fun game. I don't want to spend too much time on it really, because we've chatted for a long time rambling about Monkey Island. Um,
Sure.
but where is it available? To be honest, I'm not sure. I think it's mentioned on Indie Retro News, right?
So this is
So
a recent one.
yeah, he's got a. This is like a sequel of sorts. Although, I mean, yeah, in the original, you didn't have to. You didn't have to get the blocks together. You just had to kind of destroy all the enemies. I'm going to have a look on the old Indie Retro News. I have to use a proxy for that because for some reason it's blocked in Kazakhstan. I don't know why, but um, no, it's not letting me. It's not letting me access it. I'll switch to France and see if that works. No, I can't access Indie Retro News, but I think if you guys wanted to check that game out, I'm pretty sure that it's on indieretronews.com. And I mean, it's there's a story on Indie Retro News about the game, and it there'll be a link to where you can download it. I think, yeah, that's about the best I can do with that. Anyway, yeah, it's a nice, fun little game, isn't it? I mean, I don't always like it when people use that expression "little game," but it's a micro game, isn't it? So I think in that sense, it does suit that
It seems
title.
fitting for this one. Yeah.
Yeah, the graphics are really cute. It's a nice approach to. It's working now in Retro News, so perhaps.
Yeah. I mean, I thought, to be honest, I thought in terms of the presentation, graphically and audio wise, probably the slickest one we've looked at. But it didn't resonate with my imagination all that much.
Which one again?
Um,
Sorry.
this game,
Yes.
compared to the previous two, the zombie one and
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
dungeon.
Yeah. Well, it's a bit of an ask sometimes to find games that can do that every single week.
Mm.
I mean, there were a couple of
I,
other games that have come out this week, and but well, there was a few basic games that came out, and a couple of other
yeah,
AGD games that came out, and I thought, well, I don't really want to look at another AGD game where you're just collecting stuff and exploring because it's
sure.
just it's just
No, I
every
thought it
every
was
single
good.
every single
I
time.
really like the format. I was thinking to myself, um, like someone at school giving you a tape in the playground and like go and play this game.
Yeah.
I get a link from you earlier
Right.
in the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, to be
And
honest, I kind of tied it in just to because it's a nice way of talking about game development and graphics in this sense,
mm,
and that kind of ties in also with what we were saying about Monkey Island, but we're not going to
it's
talk about Monkey Island anymore. So, yeah, graphically nice. It could do with a little bit of polish. I honestly think that I hope that Gabriele still comes back and does more work, especially in the graphic side of things. I'd love to work with him again
yeah.
on something.
I do think he's
I
one of the
think
best Spectrum people. Full stop.
Yeah,
from
and
what I've seen.
it's a really, he's a really good guy as well. Um,
Yeah.
very generous, with his time and everything. But I would say that, yeah, I'd like to work with him because he has a lot of great ideas and he loves early arcade games like I do. And
Mm,
yeah, we had a lot of fun working on Che Maxim. Um, and I think that he's a little bit restricted, not from his by his imagination, but by the actual AGD engine. It's a little bit limited in
sure.
terms of what he
Yeah.
does, and sometimes some of the limitations are great, and sometimes the limitations are just it's not it's not that the Spectrum can't do that. It can. It just can't do it within this engine, right? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not
Yeah.
really a hardware limitation. It's actually a software one, which then you think, well, that could be overcome.
Well,
Um,
then that's exciting, isn't it? And that's why we learn to do assembly coding,
well,
right?
exactly. So that leads us quite nicely into that. Um, okay, so let's switch over. I'm just going to have to jump to the bathroom. So if you can,
Yeah.
you need it too?
Well, I can cover for you
All right, you
if you
cover
want.
for me. Um, let's think of something for the chat. There's only like two or three lads in the chat anyway. We're just sitting in the pub and I'm popping to the loo. Um,
Yeah,
but
that's fine.
in terms of well, I'm curious what you guys think about other point and click adventures that could have a sequel that you'd most like to see, perhaps. That's a good one for you to talk about, Dom, because you're a big fan
I'll
of
go
them.
on.
All right,
You can
I'll be back in a second. I might bring the cat. I've got to check on her anyway.
Sure. Why not? I'm sure everyone would like to see cat update. Okay, I think I'm probably a little bit behind with what everybody's saying, so I guess I will comment for a little while. Point and click adventures to come. Broken Sword, we've had some. Yeah. Hard to come up with a better. Monkey Island, we could have Mango. We could have another Day of the Tentacle. Mansion. Yeah. I could see another Maniac Mansion. I wouldn't be surprised if that does. There was quite a lot of success with Thimbleweed Park game. So I could see maybe, yeah, there could be another mansion nice like that. I don't know if I'm just very behind on the chat or if anything happening occurring. But yeah, anyway, I'm certain the new Monkey Island. It's been a blast this week. I've got right near to the end now, I think.
So here she is. Here she is.
Hello, little one. Hello. Star of the show.
Anyway, she's a little bit sleepy now, so I hope that she's not gonna. I might just let her stay in here now. I hate leaving her in the kitchen, really, but she was
Yeah.
just ridiculously aggressive in trying to get in to see me. But if you can just If you just lie down here, you know, I might just let you stay. She absolutely won't stay sitting over there. I can guarantee that. But we can live in hope. It's just impossible, absolutely impossible to do a stream with a cat, with a kitten. It's impossible.
Hmm.
Um, she just she just will not um, stop trying to get into the. I've got a little barrier around my desk, you know, and she just won't stop trying to get through. And just now,
Yeah.
normally it's okay. She didn't know how to get through, but she worked it out. She's getting bigger every week, and she's getting better at jumping. And it's just yeah. Anyway, this is where the people on the stream want to they look forward to seeing the cat more than anything else, really. But anyway, have you done your homework?
No,
I didn't
I'm
think
sorry.
I didn't think you had.
I've just been playing
Well,
Monkey Island this
yeah,
week.
yeah,
I, I,
that's
I,
fair enough, fair enough. All right. Well, look,
I really need to as well. But
we'll
I've,
do a little bit of basic coding, something fairly simple. I actually want to talk today about how color works on the spectrum, because obviously it is quite unique.
yeah.
So when we talk about the pixels, we basically talking about what we call one bit color, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna make sure that I can see. Yeah, we can see that there, right? So
Oh, hang on, I'm in the wrong
and in
screen.
let's say for example, right, in the old sort of frantic Pengo, right?
Oh, do you have? Have you got a screen up? I
Yeah,
haven't got it on
sorry, yeah, I'll do that now. Just a second.
Discord.
Let me share. Guess who's now sitting on the sofa, staring at me intently, trying to see if she can get into through the barricade. Which, if she does, she'll have to go in the kitchen, which is unfortunate, but there you go. She might settle. She might. She's a bit calmer now than she was. Okay,
Ah,
can
okay,
can
I
you
have it.
see that now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
got you.
I need to just put you back as the priority there. Okay. I think that should now adjust itself as well. Yes. Okay. Just a second. Let the stream catch up. We're getting back. We're getting the hang of this. There we go. Okay, guys. So for those of you that are not that are new, which I don't think there is anybody, but if there is, so we talk about coding on the spectrum, and I try to teach Dom how to write something, and that's a little bit like trying to teach my cat not to try and jump through the barrier, but we'll try.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, so let's say you remember 1 byte is 8 bits, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm good on this. Yeah.
Okay, and the spectrum kind of works in these character squares. We won't go into exactly how that works, but if you can imagine that you've got 8 bytes would give you a character set of an 8 by 8 graphic, right?
Yeah.
And if you were to say, if you wanted to draw a penguin or something in there, then you would set some of these bits, right? Like this.
Of course. This is the very first bit of graphics coding that we used to do back using this in a basic program.
Yeah. Yeah. So you'd have something like this, and obviously that would then create your little graphic on the screen. And that's what we call 1-bit graphics. Yeah. So
Cool.
1 pixel corresponds to 1 bit. Yeah.
Sure thing. Yeah.
Now,
I'm cool with this.
if you were to, if you wanted then to have color, right? Well, there are different approaches to that, but one of the approaches that you would take is to use a second bitmap like this. So this is, you call that like a bitmap, and this is a second bitmap. So a bit plane really, right? 2-bit planes, right?
Got it.
So
By the
that
Bitplane brothers.
something like that. So what that means is that if you overlay those, right? If you can imagine that in 3 dimensions, then it means that you have 2 bits per pixel, yeah?
Yes.
And that
I
gives
can
you
see this.
and that gives you four different combinations, which means that you can then have 4 colors, right?
But you okay.
So
You
imagine,
can't have 4 colors, so can you
well,
in a character's code?
not on the Spectrum, no, but on other computers you can,
Okay.
yeah? So what I was about to say is this is not the way that the Spectrum does it, right?
Right.
So
Because we can only have two, right?
yeah, we can only have 2 because it's 1 bit, 0 or 1.
Yeah.
But when you talk about, in general, when you talk about computer graphics, one of the common ways to do it is to have what you call bit planes, right? So therefore, you've got several patterns, and so that each pixel is represented by 1 bit or 2 bit or 3 bit, all the way up, even up to. So when you talk about, say, 16-bit color, it means that you've actually got
Yeah.
16 planes, more or less, 16, right? But as soon as you do that, every time that you add, a
16 layers per
yeah,
bit.
but every time you add a plane, you're kind of doubling, or you're doubling the memory at that point. And if you went to say 4-bit planes, then you have 16 colors, and then you've got 4 times, excuse me, excuse me, 4 times
Yeah.
the memory, right?
Sure.
So what Sinclair decided to do in their sort of infinite wisdom was to have a separate memory sort of layer where you had 1 byte of color data for 1 square of 8 by 8.
Got you. Yeah.
Right?
That something gives the
So,
Spectrum the unique look that it has.
yes, although it's not absolutely unique, it's there are other machines that do similar things, but in terms of the sort of, if you want to talk about the sort of the UK trifecta of Commodore 64, Spectrum, and Amstrad CPC, then they're all fairly different, really. I think, yeah, they are. So each one of them does things in a slightly
Yeah.
different way. But the Spectrum in that sense is unique in terms of attributes. If you want to talk about MSX, I think that does support attributes, not as big in the UK, but nevertheless a
Right.
pretty important computer. And I think there are modes. Some computers have different graphics modes. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know if Curtis is still here. Of course, in the USA, the Coco was a much bigger, more popular machine than it was in the UK, and we only had the Dragon 32, which was an early machine. And one of the ways that they solved that problem, by the way, if you wanted to have only 1 bit plane, then what you would do is you would use 2 bits here per pixel, right? Do you see what I mean? So you'd have 1 bit plane, but then you would halve your horizontal resolution. Do you see what I mean?
Not quite.
Well, when you look at graphics on, say, I don't know, like the Dragon 32, or I think even on the C64, you get that kind of chunky pixel.
Ah, okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
and the reason for that is that they're halving the resolution in order to double the colors,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. I'm aware of this as a Commodore thing. They've
Yeah, yeah. So, if you imagine that
two modes. Is that right?
instead of having, see, for example, 1 byte on the spectrum is 1 bit color, right? So that means you've got 8 pixels there, right? But on say like the Dragon 32, as I understand it, um, it has two different modes. You can have 1 bit color, but it doesn't have any overlay at all. It doesn't have any attribute overlay. Or you can have 2-bit color, but then you're halving the resolution essentially.
Yeah.
But then you have
I'm
full
sure there's
color.
a similar-ish thing on the Commodore.
Yeah, but this is just general computer knowledge. It's not so applicable directly to the spectrum. But I guess to understand how that works, um, yeah, that's the basic principle of it. So
Mm.
yeah, so what you've got with the spectrum is you've got 256 times 192 pixels, right? And each of
Yeah,
those is split into character squares of 8 by 8 pixels. In other words, you've got a grid of 32 times 24, right? So you've got
yeah.
768 character squares, which means you've got 768 bytes of color data.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you were to if you were to if you wanted the spectrum to have, say, 4 colors in the way that I described, you would have to then, well, 256 by 192 is 49152, and then there are 8 bits per byte. So the number of bytes, you divide by 8 to get the number of bytes. So it would be 6144 bytes, right? I think we did that before.
Yeah.
And so if you wanted to have 4 colors, you'd have to double that. So you'd have to add another
Okay.
6144 bytes.
Yeah.
And I think even then that would only give you, yeah, and even if you did that, that would only give you color line by line colors. No, sorry, I beg your pardon. That would give you 4 colors if you added 6144. Interestingly, are you aware of the Timex computers?
I've heard of them. Yeah, but
So they actually
yeah,
use
but
an
they're like
attribute.
spectrum clones
Yeah,
almost, right?
well, kind of, but they use an attribute buffer or an attribute memory allocation of 6144 bytes as well. And what that allows you to do is have um, colors per line rather than per character square. So per byte, it allows per byte attributes.
Interesting.
So
So you could actually do.
yeah, like the color effects that you see, like with things like Nirvana engine, multicolor tricks, and things like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Timex can do that. I'm sorry, guys.
Right.
I'm still having a bit of trouble with this. Some kind of loose connection somewhere. Anyway, um, but even if you did that, you're still going to be having to move a lot more memory around. Yeah. So there's
Yeah.
no, there's no, there's nothing in hardware that's going to help you with that on the Spectrum. So yeah, the color and the pixel data are stored separately.
Makes sense.
All right. So, and now I'll just explain to you how that works. So, if you have a byte, if you have you have a byte like this, right? And you know that the values can either be 0 or 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the colors, the way that the color works is that the color assigns what is referred to on the machines as the paper and the ink, right?
Yep.
So paper is what you get when you have value 0, and ink is what you get when you have value 1 of a bit.
Around that.
That makes sense?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Right, so for example, in this grid here, right, we'll assign one set of colors, and we'll set let's say, for example, if we set paper to 1, yeah, then everywhere that there's a 0, you would have a blue pixel.
Okay.
And if I set ink to say 2, then everywhere that you have a 1, you would have a red pixel.
Lovely.
Right?
I'm happy with that.
Okay, so that's a basic principle. Now, the spectrum color is not, I'm sure you're familiar with RGB color, right?
Sure.
But the
Yeah.
spectrum is not RGB. It's, what would it be? I think it's GRB, right? So what I mean by that is, there
Yeah, that
are
makes sense.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? Within an attribute byte, there are 8 bits, yeah?
Yeah.
And they're assigned to represent, they're like little switches, right? To represent the paper, something like that, right? Paper and ink. But what I'll do is I'll say that, I think I'm right to say GRB, right? And GRB. Okay.
For green, red, blue.
Green, red, blue. Now, again, so for people that are not familiar with this, this is what you might call, this is like 3-bit color, right? So you've got blue on, red off, green off, right? That's blue, dark blue. Yeah?
Yeah.
In fact, let's start with this. So just to explain roughly. So this one would be blue off. So 0, 0, 0 means blue off, red off, green off, right? So you've only got blue. Sorry, this one is black, right?
Say that last bit again.
Okay. 0, 0, 0 means the blue is off,
black.
the red is off, the green is off, so therefore the color is black. Yeah?
Yeah, because this is light.
Essentially, yeah. In the same way that the TV
These colors are
combines
light.
some
Obviously,
colors,
in my world, if you have all of those off, white.
yeah.
Because you're using paint, but if you're using light, you'll have the absence of any color.
Yes. So 0, 0, 1 means blue is on, red is off, green is off, right?
Yeah.
I suppose it would probably make more sense for me to put it in this order, wouldn't it? Because then the bits match up. I'll put it as GRB. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then you've got combinations from there. You've then got 010, and then you've got 011, and then you've got 100, and then you've got 101, and then you've got 110, and then you've got 111, right? In binary.
Got you. Yeah.
Okay. So what you've got here,
sense.
let me just,
cool.
I'll do a bit of shorthand here, right? So we'll go XX.
I hadn't quite realized that's how it works.
XXX, right? And then we'll go XXB, right? And then, sorry, I've written these in the wrong place. So that would be XXX, and this would be that would set the blue, right? So that one will set the blue. So that's XXB, right? And then this one
Sure.
would be XRX. So that would set the red, yeah?
Yeah.
And then this one would be XRB. So that would be red plus blue, which is magenta.
That's, as we all know,
Yeah.
spectrum.
And then the next one is GXX, so green only, so that's green. And then following that, you have GXB, so green plus blue equals cyan, right?
Okay, yes, I am.
And then you've got GR and no blue, which is red
Now that's where you're getting interesting.
equals yellow.
Yeah.
I know,
I mean,
it's not so intuitive, but that's what it is. But if you actually shine a red light and a green light, you will get that. So
oh yeah, yeah. This is what I mean by how light is not. Light is different from
yeah.
pigment.
And then finally, you're going to have GRB, and that is all the colors.
Because light takes the other pigments out, right? Whereas paint adds
Yes.
them together.
Yeah.
So,
But what's interesting about using GRB color is that in terms of the way that the human eye works, it actually goes, this is the darkest to the brightest in the correct order.
what's the reasoning for the being different?
Sorry?
What's the point of being green, red, blue rather than red, green, blue?
Well, I think it might. I honestly couldn't say, but I think it might be to do with that fact that it is actually
Right?
related to the fact that each of the as you go up the scale, the colors actually get brighter each time because of the way that
Yeah.
the eye deals with blue, green, and red, right?
Yeah.
So
Cool.
blue, the eye is less susceptible to blue, less susceptible to red, and
Yeah.
then green. So you know. Um, That's why when you see Spectrum games and they go through the colors,
Well,
you
I'm
see
aware
that
of the effect.
it appears to get brighter. You get like a fade in or a fade out, right?
Yeah. A
So
neat
yeah,
effect.
that's the 3-bit color that the Spectrum
Cool.
uses to define here the ink and here the paper, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at the binary, so there are 256 combinations. The other 2 bits here are set for the brightness. So you have 2 levels of brightness, and then you have flash. So you have either flash on or flash off, right? And all the flash does is it times with alongside the interrupt or something like this. Not on the interrupt, but it's like once a second or something like. I don't know what it is, but
Yeah.
either way, it's the GRB, the ink and the paper are swapped, and it
Yeah.
creates a flash. Again, the idea was that it was mainly for people using spreadsheets, to highlight
Sure.
text or make certain, flash certain things and have different,
Yeah.
give you lots of different options within, like you can on Excel, right? So that was the main idea. So as you can see, if you start with uh, the first, well, obviously zero, that's completely black, right?
Yeah.
If you then go to 1, you'll have blue ink and black paper.
Yeah.
And if you then, as you go from 1 to 7, as you go on a scale from 1 to 7 in terms of the byte value in the memory, so you go 01, 10, 11, 100 like that, right? Then you can see that, and I'll go over to the machine and do a poke so that you
The
can
effort can be a flash and bright, right? I'm just following
yeah,
this through.
flash and bright. Sorry,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
I
obviously
get it.
there is another B there, but
Yeah. No, that's all making sense.
okay, if that helps, yeah. So Yeah, if you go to, well, let me see if I can show you what that means. Right. Hopefully this will work. Print hello. Right. Okay. Okay. Now if I poke and I know 22528, yeah, that's the top corner of the screen where that H is. Right. You can't see this right now. Just look on the stream. You'll see it
Oh,
in a minute.
oh, okay. This is coming up on the Twitch, right?
Yeah. So if I poke that with a 0, you'll see that I've set the paper and the ink to black, and that's going to come up now. In fact, for your benefit, it won't take me a second to.
There we go. So I can see hello, but with the H's all a solid block.
Yeah, let me switch windows for you so you can see. All right, can you see that now on the on your own little window in Discord?
There we go. Yeah, I've got you now in the Discord one.
Yeah. So let me go back to the thing. Okay, so what I just did is I put the value 0 into the very first character square in the attribute memory. Yeah.
Got it.
And
Yes.
so, and as a
Yeah.
result of that, we've now got black paper and black ink.
Uh-huh.
But if I poke it with 1, that will be black paper and blue ink. And you can just about make that out, I think.
Yeah. Got it. Yeah.
So, and then if I poke it with 2, then you'll get red ink.
Nice.
All right. So, and that's the first. So if we go back to the, well, I'll use the spectrum to show this. But if you imagine, so you've got 3 bits like that, right? And you're going 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, right? And then eventually you'll get to that, which is 7, yeah, which is white.
Yes. Okay.
Right.
Yes.
And
All
then
right.
the next value will be 1, 0, 0, 0, right? So if you look at that, that's then stepped in. You've then stepped into the realm of the paper. You see?
Okay.
So therefore, if I poke it with a value, of 8, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, essentially, what I'll be doing is this is 8 in binary, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. Okay. I'm not gonna press enter here because that's not how you use BASIC, right?
Sure.
But that's so what that tells me is, look, 1, 2, 3. That's the ink, right? That's black ink, and it's going to be blue paper. See what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So if I poke it with 8, there you go. Blue paper, black ink.
Yeah.
And if I poke it with 9, what will it be?
Uh, 8 was black ink, blue paper. 9 is gonna be. No, I don't.
Well, there it is in binary, look. So you can see the 8 is going to be yeah, that's the binary. So we're going to end up with blue ink and blue paper. Yeah. Think what's 9 in binary? It is 1, 0, 0, 1, right?
Yeah.
Got it?
No.
Okay, well, you remember how we represent binary? It's 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, yeah?
Oh yeah. No, I'm happy with that.
Okay, so look at the number. This is the number 9 in binary. 1, 0, 0, 1, right?
Yeah.
Now let's look at that. Let's use the trailing zeros as well and split that into 3 pieces, into the pieces that we need, right? So you,
Okay. All right. That's
right?
sort. It's taken me a while to get
That's all
there,
right.
but
That's what
yes.
we're, that's for the stream as well. But so you can see
Yeah.
there that's 9 in binary, right? But if we split it
Now I
into
have
its,
to apply the FB.
yeah,
So flash, bright, and then green, blue, red. Is that what it is over the top here?
yeah. So that means the paper is
Or
blue
is that
and
right?
the
Am I
ink,
right?
the paper is blue and the ink is blue.
Yeah. So it's GRB. Is that right?
It is GRB, yeah.
So yeah. So we've got a one in the blue column. Both things. All right. Okay. It's
Yeah.
taken me a minute,
That's all right.
but
That's
yeah.
good. Yeah. So if you do that there, you've got blue, blue, right?
Got it. Got it. Got
And
it.
then
Yes. Yes.
if you though go to 10, you're going to have blue, red.
Um. Yeah. Write it in binary for me.
There you go.
Yes. Okay. Yes. So
Yeah.
we are.
It's
Yes.
just a
Of course
series
we
of
are.
light. We're just turning lights on and off, right?
Yeah.
Within the
I do
binary, we're
get it.
literally just turning switches,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
right? So then if I
It's just
go,
that
that's 10,
thing.
that's
So
10, that's 11, right? And so that's going to be magenta ink. The ink is going to be magenta then, right?
yes. Yes. Yes.
There, you see?
Yeah. It's just slightly popped my brain, but yes, I can see it. I can
All
see
right.
it. Yeah.
So if we just, let me jump back to, well, okay. So we were doing this in the previous stream. We were talking about how you can break the binary up into component pieces and use them, right? And that's exactly what we're doing here. But rather than
Yeah.
splitting it into 2 pieces of 4,
Yeah.
we're splitting it into um, 2 ones and
Two
2
ones.
sets of 3, right? Just as a little groups of combined switches. I should be able
Very
to,
cool.
right. So let me go back. I'll go back to I'll switch windows for you as well so that we can go back and I'll explain a little bit more about that, right? So just to make sure that we're clear. Okay, we're back on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where the cat's gone now. She's probably settled down somewhere. Well, as long as
I
she's...
might have to have a very quick wee.
Okay, well, off you pop then.
I won't be a sec.
Okay, well, I'll just poke some values. Tailsa says I should poke 178. All right, we'll poke 178 just for fun. There you go. Flash is on. I don't actually know what color the paper is or the ink, one or the other, because obviously they're switching between. But yes, but red ink, yellow paper would also, sorry, red lorry, yellow lorry. Um, Yellow ink and red paper would look almost the same, although they would alternate, wouldn't they? So, yeah. What's the opposite of 178? In terms of if you reverse the ink and the paper? I see. All right.
Hey, hey.
Good.
back. How are we going?
There you go. That's for you there, Tails. I hope you enjoy that one. Little bit of flash animation.
Oh,
Anyway, just give me a second. We'll come to that in a moment. I'm just going to patch this up.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah. So. Oh, anyway, that's fine. We'll leave that for now. So we're back on the old notepad, right? Everyone can see it.
Yep.
Okay, so what does that mean in terms of binary? Always works like with you can just use addition, right? So you can add the things together, but the first 3 bits, you know that their value is 0 to 7, right?
Hang on. Say that again. The first 3.
These 3 bits here, the ones that you got here, that's going to be 0 to 7, right? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
Got you. Sorry. Yeah. It's that whole thing of taking. That's okay. Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I'm just going to separate these out a little bit more, just so people can understand what's going on. So I'm just. Yeah. Just
yes.
give.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Just bear with me for a second, because I'm just want to do this so that we can.
So the 3 bits on the right hand side go up to a value of 111, making 7. This is what you're saying.
Yeah. So I'm going to put the sort of you know, the binary in here, just so that we can. So this is 8. This is 16.
Oh yeah, good idea. Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah,
that's
that makes it a lot easier.
32. And that's 64. And 128.
Perfect. Yeah.
All right. So we just spread that out a bit. That makes it a bit easier to read.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess I could have just used it. We'll get there eventually, right? Okay, we're almost there.
It does make it a lot clearer.
Yeah, okay, that's good. There we go. So, you know, it's always all you need to do when you're looking at binaries, you just add those numbers together, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, for example, this one here is just 2 plus 1, that's 3, right?
Sure.
So you can see then fairly easily that we just, if we want to set the bright value, then we just need to add 64 to the value, right?
Because bright is the second column. Got it. Yes. Oh wow.
Right. So
Good.
that's bit. We actually number these bits.
I've come across this with colors before, and
we actually number them like this way, right? 4, 3, 2, 1, and bit 0, right? So bit 6 is used. Switch number 6. Bit 6 is used to switch bright on or off. Yeah.
Got it.
You switch
Yeah.
it. You switch it on. You're going to switch bright on, and effectively, it means that you're adding 64. But well, you know, you need to be careful adding 64 to a number, but essentially, if the number is less than 64 and you add 64 to it, then you're going to be fine, right? Because
yeah,
if it's above 64, it means it's already set, so you can't then add 64. It will get very confusing. But
it's an odd thing, isn't it? Because we're saying adding, but really you're just turning on one switch. You're just
Yeah, but look, if you look at, say, if I
Really
poke
having
this,
64, aren't you? You're just turning a switch on in the
of
64
course,
column.
yeah, that's just human readable stuff. But as far as the machine is
Yeah,
concerned,
yeah,
you've just one tiny bit within the memory has been activated, one
yeah,
little bit of
yeah,
silicon or whatever. Um,
yeah,
so, for example, if I want that to be white paper, then I need to set the paper to 7, right?
yeah.
So this would be white paper. White paper on black ink. Can you see that?
Sorry, where am I?
Oh, I'm
I'm
sorry.
not sure where I'm.
Yeah. I'll just
Got
show.
it.
I'll
So
put it
this
in.
is on the
Yeah, but
Twitch
I'll put
screen,
it
yeah?
here as well, right? So if I want white paper on black ink, then I'm going to go no flash, no bright, white paper, black ink. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and if you look at that on this table, as I've just done it, you'll see that that means it's going to be 8 plus 16 plus 32,
Got
right?
it, yeah.
Which is
56.
48, 56. Yeah, 56, right? So if I switch over to the spectrum and poke it with 56, and you'll have to wait for the stream to catch up because I'm not going to switch over so quickly for that. But if I poke it with
Okay.
56, you can see that that gives me that's like the default spectrum attribute setting is 56. No bright,
Got it.
yeah?
Yeah.
Incidentally, when you're working with attributes, hexadecimal numbers don't help you all that much because they don't. You can see the colors are not divided into the classic two sets of 4 bits. You know.
Right, yes.
So when you're
Yeah.
looking at hex values, well, you can sort of tell if the flash or the bright is on, but it's pretty hard to read um, the red and the RGB, the GRB or whatever, because it's
Yeah.
you know. So sometimes then what you'll do is you'll just do it in binary and convert it to decimal or whatever. Not that
Right.
when you see a decimal number you can't read it either, can you? You can't just look at it and know the color. If I put a color in like 67, 68, you don't really know what it is. I mean you can
No,
actually see that it's 64 plus 8, right? So that tells you that
sure.
it's bright is on, ink is 0, and paper is blue, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got that?
Yeah, yeah. No, I've totally got it. Yeah.
Good. Oh, sorry, green. I beg your pardon. Paper is black and bright. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, is that green? Yeah, I guess it must be. Okay. Well, anyway, let's go back and look at that again. So yeah, we can basically change any color on the screen by um, poking or writing to memory at that point, right? And
Yeah.
so hopefully what you can see is, let me see if this makes sense to you, right? So there's a formula that you can use so what you've got is you've got ink plus paper times 8, right? So let me show you what I mean by that. So ink, let's say, well, okay, tell me what ink and what paper would you like?
I would like cyan. It's just black paper.
Cyan ink, so cyan is 5, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, let's use a different color of paper just for the mathematics.
Okay.
Red?
It's not going to look nice. Yeah, yeah, red. Red.
I know it's not going to look nice, but we're not really worried about that right now. Yeah, black and cyan does go a lot better.
Mm.
Okay, so if you want ink 5 and paper 2, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
then if you look at where it is in the bit in the sort of the bit in terms of the bits, yeah,
Yeah.
then this is 0 to 7, right? So I hope you can see that this value here, because
Yeah.
this first value is 8, right? Got it?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I was thinking of it just. Yes.
So that's an 8 there because it's on bit 3. So it's an 8,
Yeah, that's not
right?
one. Yeah,
And
that's eight. Yeah.
if you increase it again, it's 16, right?
Mm.
And then following that, it's going to be 24. And following that, it's going to be 32,
Yeah.
right? That's because you've got these three leading zeros here. So
Yeah. Yeah.
everything's multiplied by 8. In the same way as if it
Yeah.
was in decimal, you've got three leading zeros, it'd be multiplying by 1,000, yeah?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
incidentally, 1,000 in binary is 8, right?
Yeah.
See what I mean?
Okay. Cool.
Or 100 in
Yeah.
binary is 8, right? So your paper value is going to be 8 times the value of your ink value. So if you want your paper to be paper 2, then um, you're going to need to set those 2 bits there. Well, you're going to need to do that, right? And this is your ink 5, so let's put 5 in here, so it's 4 plus 1. Yeah? Is that making
Yes.
sense?
Okay.
Yeah? Red paper.
Yes. So wow. Okay. So that
So essentially what you've got here, if you think about it as two numbers, you've got this number.
these switches
Yeah, you've got
count
this.
as more than one value, right?
These
So
two.
for instance, the paper two, you've put a value of 2 if that was a 3 digit, but
Yeah, well, yeah,
actually
but
that.
but yeah, because but the way that it's stored, you've got these leading zeros, so it's going to actually be
Yeah,
groups
yeah,
of it's 8,
I get
16,
it.
32, right?
I get it.
So it's a
Yeah, yeah.
combination of two things. You could look at it as two different numbers. This is your paper number,
Mm,
right?
mm.
And that number is actually it's not 2, it's 16, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, yeah, I
And
get that.
so
Yeah,
and then this is your ink value, and that one is going to be 5, right? So 16 plus 5 is 21.
yeah. So the
So
ink value is kind of as you would expect it to be,
yeah,
yeah, the
yeah,
paper value.
because it's at the end of the bit of the byte,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that makes perfect sense. That's really cool.
And there you go. Well, I think I chose 5 instead of 6. 6 is cyan, isn't it? So I chose green by mistake. It's red and green.
Well, that's okay. Red and green should
But
never be
we
seen.
just add 1 to get the cyan, right? Because it's ink. We only want to change the ink.
Mm.
So what was the number that we had? 50. Well, I can't remember the last thing I typed. 50.
Uh, what are we wondering?
Sorry, 16 plus 5 is 22, isn't it?
Uh,
No,
21.
21. Yes, 21. Oh, maybe that is cyan then. That is cyan. I just can't see it very well. Yeah, I was right in the first place. Yeah, 5 is cyan.
Oh, you're doing it on the Twitch screen. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm a little
yeah,
bit
it's just
behind.
it's not so clear for me that, but that is actually cyan, right?
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, yeah, I can see it. It is
Right. So
cyan.
and if I wanted to go from paper red to paper magenta, then it's going to be 21 plus 8, right?
Uh, yes, yes,
There you go, you see?
neat.
So it's always ink plus paper times 8.
Yeah,
But in assembly, you're not really going to be thinking too much about that. All you because you can just think of it in binary and just set your colors.
yeah. I'm just getting my head around it. It's a thing going from right to left. Yeah,
Yeah.
it makes sense. Makes perfect sense. Yeah.
Just see if there's anything in the comments. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I did actually mention that. If you missed it, I apologize. What I was doing was just to be expedient, really. I was just writing the binary in the nearest available keyboard that Dom could read because I didn't want to switch between the notepad and Spectrum. Keep switching, it takes longer. So yeah, I was writing the binary just purely using the Spectrum as a notepad. Um, that I don't believe. Yeah, the Spectrum doesn't recognize binary if you type it in, as far as I know. Anyway, so yeah. By the way, when I went into the kitchen to see the cat, she looked so annoyed. She was like, "Why have you left me in here?" It's Yeah, cats are really fascinating. I've learned so much about them, but they have a just as an aside, a quick thing about cats. They have their psychology. Well, what you're thinking about, if you've got a cat, you've got to think about their physical and their mental health, right? And this is why play is so important to them because it's, and perhaps it applies to humans as well, but physical and mental health. So if you play with your cat, then they get a lot of exercise. If they run around a lot, they jump a lot, they get exercise that's really good for their physical health, right? But for their psychological or their mental health, when you play with them, it's also really important that they get to catch the thing that you're playing with and like claw it and like destroy it and do all of that kind of stuff because that's the payoff for them, right? So basically, like we got a laser pointer, right? A laser pointer is like a cheat code for a cat. It's unbelievable. Like I know Andy recommended it
Oh,
to me. Yeah.
laser pens and cat.
But playing with a laser pen with a cat is not really. It's a lot of fun for the human, but it's not that good for the cat, right? Because what they do is they get the physical exercise, but they don't get the payoff. You know?
Why is why is that good? Well,
No, it's good for
ripping.
the well. It's good for. Why is it good for the human? Because cats and a laser pen is a hilarious combination, right? I've got to tell
Yeah.
you, it is ridiculously funny.
No, but what
And
I mean
it's like
is
having a
how is
remote control. It's literally like having a remote control. You can just make your cat go anywhere that you want,
mm,
you know?
what I mean is in what way is catching the thing and ripping it to shreds good for the mental health of the cat?
Oh, well, it's the payoff. It's the payoff of the game. It's like we were talking about in the game, when we were playing that game earlier, there's no payoff. It's the result. It's the I won, I got it, it's a hunt for them, you know?
Is that not just the
Psychologically, for what the cat does, when the cat captures the thing, yeah? They will claw
mm,
it, they will bite it, they will do like the little bunny kick thing, right?
cats are pretty evil. I mean, yeah,
No, they're not evil. No, they're not evil. Absolutely
what
not.
I'm saying
They're
is
just they're
I don't
hunting. They're hunting for food. They don't kill things. You know.
I don't
Oh, you mean
the,
like when they play with half dead things? You mean like
doing
that?
and killing
Huh?
logically good necessarily.
Sorry?
It's just what they do. I don't necessarily believe that is increasing their mental health. And it's just a thing they do.
Sorry, you'll have to. What's okay? Let me explain. Right? It's like so you've got a cat, right, is basically a hunting machine, right? That's how they exist. They are
Yeah,
pure 100% hunters. They must eat meat. Or they'll die, right? They're It's called obligate carnivore. It means they don't have a choice. Yeah. Their diet, unlike humans and unlike dogs, their diet is absolutely dependent on meat, right?
sure.
And they are pure hunters. And as kittens, and I tell you, I've learned so much about cats in the last. Sorry, guys, we won't talk about cats for too long, but they
Sorry,
are. They are
creative.
absolutely no, but I want to explain my point, right? So, you've got to be the best version of yourself, right? As
Yeah,
right? So, um, cats are absolutely naturally 100% driven by the need to hunt. And as kittens, they're driven by the need to train and practice continually to um, hunt, right?
yeah.
And if
That's
they don't
their
get
nature.
the satisfaction of catching something and holding it and clawing it and scratching it and biting it, if they don't get that, yeah, you see,
Yeah,
that's how they release a certain amount of mental stress. They're you see, if you imagine if you're a hunter, right, you're constantly on alert all the time. So for them, it's like a stress relief. It's like a stress ball, when you squeeze it, or if you use a punching bag and you punch it, or if you
yeah,
shout, if you do like a primal scream or anything like this. It's a it's They have an energy that builds up in them that has to be dissipated. That's their driver, right? Now, I'm not saying that. I mean, I'm not. My cat's never going to kill anything, right?
mm,
Unless we get mice in our house, in which case,
probably will. Doubt you'll be able to stop it.
oh, listen, if we get mice in our house, then the cat is going to kill them, and good. I hope she does.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, that's great. That's good. If she wants to eat them, she can. That's their natural way. I feed her quite usually. I feed her raw meat because that's much better for her. You know. All I'm talking
nice.
about here, Dom, really is it's just tuning into the cat as it in its natural evolutionary status as what it is. You know, and balancing that
Yeah,
with a human. The cat's not a toy. The cat's not something for you to just mess about with and play with and what. So that's what I mean about the laser pointer. It is fun, and you can get the cat to do exercise, but I don't use the laser pointer very much because there's no payoff for her. She doesn't get to catch something. She doesn't get to claw something.
yeah. I suppose what I'm questioning
Yeah.
is whether that payoff is genuinely good for the mental health of the cat, or how we
Well, what I can tell you is this.
see without answering
Ever
more.
since I've been doing that, right? She's a lot calmer. She's a lot more relaxed. When she was on her own and she didn't get to do that, and it's also important that she does it with a human or with another cat, right?
Mm,
She's just a lot more chill.
mm.
Yeah. It's just like it's like a.
Good.
I mean, I've done some. I watched quite a lot of videos and did some reading on it and everything. So
Mm.
And the Mitsuyama is saying that yeah, they don't eat everything they get. No, they don't. That's true because they. Well, it's as look. Let me just. This is the best way I can explain it, and you know it's a bit of an it's not like there's kids watching or anything anyway. But basically, killing for a cat, for a predator, yeah, is they have the same natural drive for hunting and killing as they have for sex, right? Right?
I don't
So
know.
no, they do.
Different
They
drives.
no, well, I can tell you, they have a driver the same way that most of us have a sex drive, right? Uh,
My two drives are pretty different in me.
well, sorry, you're. I'm not saying you're not you haven't got a killing. I'm not saying you've got a killing drive, right? But
No,
most
but
of
the desire for food and the desire for procreation
right.
are quite manifest
Well,
differently.
they do manifest differently. But the point, what I'm saying is this, right? Now, you can remember, I'm sure, when you were a teenager, right? And there were urges, right?
Oh, sure,
Which
yeah.
create tensions within you, right? And those tensions have to be relieved. And there is realistically only one way, more or less, for that to happen. Yeah.
Sure.
And what I'm telling you is, and there needs to be some kind of a payoff, right? You can't just you can't get to a certain point and then not have the payoff because it just doesn't work, right? So the point I'm making really is that as I have come to learn, that's what it's like for cats. They have a drive to hunt, right? Yeah, and and through play, we you can call it play. She needs to play with herself, right? With her toys. She needs to play with her toys to satisfy her urges, right? That's the and that's and that is
Um,
extremely beneficial for her mental health, right? And I'm not talking about my wife. I'm talking about my cat, right? So,
but it makes sense.
but you see my
Yeah.
point, right?
Oh yeah, of
It's a
course. Yeah.
naturally pre-programmed thing in cat. It absolutely is. I've got no doubt about it. Yes, and yes, as Mitsuyama says, yeah, cats sometimes they do just kill things, and they don't eat them. Yes, it's true. And sometimes people um, sometimes sometimes people have sex with themselves without anyone else around, and that's not so different, I suppose. They just get the urge and they go, yeah. But no, they're very natural animals like that, and so you have to kind of um, yeah. She gets if she doesn't do that, she gets wound up and tense, and she clearly has a need. And then what happens is that she starts biting. When you go to stroke her, she'll bite you, she'll hit you, right?
Right.
Because the energy is in there.
What's up?
Yeah. And if you
Stuff.
don't release it, like you have to give her a toy. If she starts biting you, just give her a toy, let us get the stress, get the energy out, do the mental thing, and then she's relaxed, and then she'll be very happy, and she'll come and see you, and she'll be like, "Yeah, yeah, I'm chill now. Let's cuddle." Right? So
Yeah. Does she have
it's
an
not a bad
outdoor,
metaphor, but yeah.
or is she an indoor?
Well, she's an indoor cat. I mean, look, we've got winters of -30 here. That ain't happening.
In their
So,
philosophies? Because I've
yeah.
had cats all my life.
Hmm?
They've been outdoor, so they've not required
Well,
this.
exactly. Now that's a very yeah. You've got the absolute point there, right? Cats most of the time, especially in England, they're an outdoor cat, yeah, and
Yeah, yeah, they do.
they are getting everything. They are getting what they need, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
You're not there, you don't see it, but believe me, they're getting it. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But if you've got an indoor cat, they ain't getting it, so you've got to give it to them.
That's a different thing altogether. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And but it also applies to kittens as well if they're too young to go out, if it's too dangerous for them. But anyway,
Sure. That makes a
that's
whole
enough
lot
of
of
that's enough
sense.
of that. Let's go back to the coding. Um, well, there always has to be at least one tangent.
Oh, yeah. Of
Um,
course that does.
so yeah, I mean, in summary, that's basically how you that's how
Sorry,
you do
let's
it,
get
right?
my head back in where we are.
Okay, so let me show you a simple machine language routine to do something with attributes. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so when we start writing some code, we'll we'll tell the assembler that we're using the ZX Spectrum 48, and we tell it what binary, what file we want to output, right? And then here, org C00, that tells us where in memory our program is going to be stored.
Okay.
Mitsuyama says you satisfy your cat manually on a regular basis. Yes, in terms of her hunting needs, I do. Yeah. Well, actually, no, not absolutely manually. I have toys to do it. I don't actually use my hands. It's a very bad idea because then she'll think that your hands are prey, and that's really not a good thing. So a really good thing is like a stick with a string, and then I have a toy mouse, or a toy bird, or something like this, and fly around. And I'd be happy to. I could even show you if you wanted, but perhaps right at the end of the stream if she's. I don't know where she is actually. Just a second. Where are you? Totally distracted now, but you in the kitchen? Okay. She's in the kitchen. She's not. I get the feeling, although I may be anthropomorphizing you, I get the feeling that she's a little bit annoyed with me for leaving it, for not interacting with her. But there's a bath mat in there, and it's really furry. It's like those fluffy bath mats. She absolutely loves it, so she's just sitting on it, just like yeah, this is all right. I like this. Anyway, um, okay, Tailsy. Yeah, well, listen, there's a Discord. We've got a Discord. I don't know if you joined it, but you can just post stuff on there. Um, anyway, so I'm going to write some really simple code. So let's say do you remember about registers and all that stuff?
Sorry, yeah, just briefly in the world of my own. Yeah, I remember.
Okay, you're still on the irregular Siggies, not the jazz ones, yeah?
Yeah, no, it's all good, man. I'm here
Okay.
with you.
All right. All right. Um, let's say, oh, I know, let's do this, right? So let's do something like,
Right, so this is where I've got to remember. Right, yeah, so we're getting to so we've got A to F, was it?
well,
A is the accumulator, right? I remember
yeah,
that.
yeah. Well, listen, I'll just run this code, and then this is an infinite loop. It's not, you can't break out of it, right? But
What's going on here? So it's loading HL. It's loaded a value into HL, then
has that worked? Oh, just a second.
A.
Documents, ASM, simple demo. Where's my simple demo?
Putting L into the accumulator.
Okay, that's better. Now, will that work? Yeah.
So it's going to cycle through colors in some way.
Yeah,
That was.
it is. Okay, so oh, hang on a second. Print RINT. Print Dom was here.
Nice, like a Chad. Do you remember Chads from back? You don't see Chads anymore.
Okay, there you go. Right, I'm just filling the screen with pixel stuff so that we can do something with it, right? So, should be able to open a what's going on? Yeah, okay. Oh, yeah, just bear with me now, guys, because I'm going to have to try and find. where I've stored this. All right, users Acer documents. Okay, just a minute. Users. Attributes bin. Okay. 49152 and randomize USR. Whoops. 49152. No, that didn't work, did it? What have I done wrong there? I thought I've got ink L. That should be okay. Oh, I see my problem. Yeah. Silly boy. Of course, I don't want to reset HL every time, so that makes more sense. Stupid. Right. Schoolboy errors. I'm known for them. Anyway, slightly annoying because, oh, well, actually, no, I might be able to do this. Maybe it'll work if I execute after import. It might work. Yay! Right.
A little bit come up for me in a minute. Yay!
Right.
Ah,
So
that's
what we've got here is I ran through the first 256 bytes of attribute memory. Yeah.
hang on, I'm just looking at the code. So
Well, I'll explain it, but if you just look at the Spectrum screen for a second, right?
okay, cool. Yeah.
What I did is I've just run through the first 256 bytes and I've increased the attribute each time. So it goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
Got
9,
you.
all the way up to 256, right? And so what I hope you
Yeah,
can see, if you look at the first two rows,
the flashings.
you've got it in
Yeah,
non-bright, and then it goes bright, and then you've got flashing, and then you've got flashing and bright.
very cool.
And
Yeah,
can you see how the paper goes black, blue, red, magenta, green, cyan, yellow, white?
absolutely. As does the text within in each instance.
Each time it goes along, it's repeating. Yeah, so that's a nice demonstration for you of how all of that works,
Really cool. Yeah.
right? And I've just got it running on a loop. But if you look here, I'll explain the code and why it's a very simple thing, right? So what I've done is I've loaded HL as a 16-bit register. Two 8-bit registers make a 16-bit pair. And the address is 5800. That's the start. That's the start of the... Yeah, come on then. You come in then if you want. Come in. Come on. Come in. You can come and sit up here. That's fine. What'll happen is though she'll just start immediately playing with the headphone cable, and that's why she's not allowed in.
She has to get the payoff to actually kill the headphone cable.
Yeah. Anyway, here she is. Stay down there for a minute, huh? Her skills increase day by day, really. When she was I took her to the vet to get her claws clipped. The vet can't clip her claws because she hates him too much.
Right.
She just goes, fuck off, get away. She just won't. She
It's a
won't
tough
take it. But she'll let me do
Yeah.
it. She'll let me do it if she's sleepy. She'll let me do it. So I don't. It's actually healthy for them to get their claws clipped a little bit, once a month or so, because they get a little bit too
We had
long.
an old cat who needed it quite a lot because she just wasn't just great.
Yeah, yeah. There's just no point in putting her down because she just jumps straight back up. Um, she's too curious. She's just too curious. She won't just sit on my lap. She's too much of a kitten. Um,
Yeah.
but you know, she's been on her own for a few hours. Don't really like to um, leave her too much.
Does she scratch things?
Huh?
Does she
Not
scratch at the
really.
phone?
No, no, no. She's not. She's not too bad. She just likes to explore and play and everything. Really, she's just a kid, you know. Anyway, load HL 5800. Right, that's the start of screen memory. Right, and I'm only
Got
oh
you.
she's found a piece of tissue and decided to go off with it, and I'll leave her with that. Tissue's all right as long as it's not plastic. It's okay. So
So
5800 is the address of the screen memory, 22528 in decimal. Thanks for the thing. Tails has put a color chart in the Discord if anyone wants to check it out.
yeah,
Although you can kind of see that color chart happening there as well anyway, right? Okay, so what I've done now, if you imagine, right, this is a loop. If we ignore these two parts here, right, and just look at that on its own, then you know it's going to go 5801, 5802, 5803, yeah, all the way up to 58FF, yeah?
yes.
And then one question.
Oh,
So,
blimey. Okay, all right. No, it took me a moment to catch up.
all right.
Yeah, all
Now,
right. Yeah.
because this one says ink L, it's not ink HL, it's ink L, right? So that means the next value in the sequence would just be 500 again. Clear?
Nearly. Just give me a sec.
Well, look, this is H and this is L. They're registered pairs.
Got you. Yes. Okay.
Right,
Yes.
so I'm only doing L, so it's only, once it gets to FF, it's going to go to 0 again.
Got
Like
you.
that. See what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
If I did ink HL, then obviously then it would go 59. Yeah?
Yeah.
But the reason I haven't
Right.
done that is because then it's going to go into system variables and memory, and it's just going to it'll just cause potential problems, right? Well, 59 is actually okay because that would be the next set of attributes, you know, the next set down. There are 3 chunks of 256, but then it would then carry on after that, and it would ultimately it would crash the machine, you know. And so yeah, so all I'm doing is, well, I'll leave that there so that it's clear. All I'm doing here is I'm just saying take the value of L and put it into the accumulator. So it's taking this number 1, 2, 3,
Adding 1.
and so the accumulator is now going 1, 2, 3 as well as L. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And then what I'm then doing is I'm just loading the value of the accumulator into the memory address, so that I'm basically poking this with 1, and this is getting poked with 2. This is getting poked with 3. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I think so. INC is just increase, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is put the low byte value into the accumulator, because that's how you write to memory, right?
Yeah.
Although, well, there is actually a quicker way of doing this, but we'll look at that in a minute. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
incal, right? Now, as it happens, there is actually a command which allows you to do this, but it wouldn't be so clear to you what was going on if I did it.
No.
Yeah, that's why I didn't do it. It's possible to do that. But if you see, what I'm
No.
doing is load AL, yeah, load HL A, right?
Yeah.
But you can see that that can actually be shortened to load HLL. Yeah, can you see that?
Well, I'm slightly wondering what the so okay, let's just go through this. Loading L into the accumulator in that last line.
And then you've got brackets here. So here we're not changing the value of HL, we're changing the memory address to HL. Yeah? You're changing the value at memory address HL. That's what the brackets does. You remember?
I'm trying to remember.
You remember this, right? So it's like poking. It's like poking.
Yeah.
Yeah? I mean, this is basically a poke.
I just don't quite understand. You're loading HL into the accumulator, but I don't quite understand.
No. You're misreading it in that case.
Yeah, I'm not understanding that line. Ah, okay.
Yeah?
All right. So A in the instance of the second has the value of L.
Yeah. Which is why
Okay.
you could actually do this.
Okay, I get you now.
Poke the address stored in HL with the value of L. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that would work. Now, with the other, you see, like with DE, you can do load DEA, but you can't do load DEL. Right? That does not work. You can't do it. You can only do it with HL. It's limited number of instructions.
So in the second line there, putting value that's stored in the accumulator into HL.
Yeah. Into the into the address that is stored in HL.
Yes. Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think so.
Because you can do this. Look, you can do load HA. That means put the value of A into H. And you can do load LA, but you can't do load HLA because that's a 16-bit number and that's an 8-bit number, so you can't do it.
It's confusing because sometimes A is like a function of the accumulator, and sometimes it's a value that's been put in there.
Well, I don't understand what
Is
you
that
mean. What do you mean?
A is the accumulator, right?
Yeah.
But in the second line of that code, A has been given a value that is that the letter A now represents. Or have I got that wrong?
Okay, well, look, it's basically the accumulator is an 8-bit number stored within the CPU, right?
I thought the accumulate. Yeah. Okay.
It's
Yeah.
literally just a number. So, you go like this, load A5, that means in basic, let accumulator equal 5, right? Remember?
Yeah.
That's why you're supposed to do your homework.
I know, I'm sorry.
Load B3, let B equal 3, right?
But I thought that we
Remember?
went over this. Yeah, I do, but A is a specific. Am I totally on the wrong
Well,
track here?
no,
I
you're
thought
not.
A.
No, you're not. It's just there are specific instructions there are specific actions that you can only do to A. You can't do it to B.
Right.
Like you
Yes.
can't add anything. You can only add things to A,
Yes. Okay.
right?
It's kind of all right. It's becoming clearer. I think
Okay.
I was slightly misunderstanding what the accumulator was.
Well, yeah, the accumulator is just another register. It's just that you can do more with it than the others
Yeah.
in terms of the instructions. So you've got, what you've got to remember is there's every instruction, well, most instructions are either, 1 or 2 bytes. Yeah, there's a limited number of them in terms of each one has a code, right? Most of the main instructions are all stored between 0 and 256. 255, I
Got
mean.
you.
So it's a single byte, but some instructions are longer. These 3 instructions here are all 1 byte each. If you look at it here, you can actually see what those codes are. 7D, 77, 2C, 18. These are your codes for these instructions.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what the machine reads. The machine receives this number and it will then perform this human readable
Yeah.
equivalent, right?
Yeah.
It's literally, you've got, you know, bits stored in a tiny bit of memory, and it's literally going to move them from one to the other and duplicate it.
Yes, I get you.
Right? So all I'm doing is I'm just shuffling numbers around. Yeah. Copy L to A, copy A to the address stored in HL, increase L, and then repeat.
L to A. So the second line is putting A into HL, value of that's been stored in A, which was L.
Well, remember that L, in this instance, we've already looked at it here, right? At the start, we kicked off with 0. Yeah? If you do that, it's the same as doing this. Right?
Yep.
So we've got these
Yes.
we've got these registers.
HL specifically work in pairs, like that's part of the...
Well, that's it. Yeah. So they're 8-bit, but when you work them as a pair, they can be used for addressing, to give a memory address, and which you can then
Yeah.
write to. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. People are leaving now, but guys, you're going to miss the cat. The cat's going to do a little performance at the end here. So if you want to wait just a minute, we'll do that. I think we're kind of done anyway, aren't we, Dom?
It's my slow coding is driving me away. I'm sorry.
Right. So I'm just going to move. We're going to get the cat. We're going to get some little show you what she can do. Right. Let me set this up here. Let me make sure I can see what I'm doing.
Finish on a stunt.
I should put some music on or something, you know. But how are we doing? We're not doing bad. Yeah, we'll get the old sofa. You see that? That's not bad yet. With a very nice big Beatles. She's no idea. She's going to be an international star. Okay, yeah, that should be good. You ready for the show, guys? Here we go. Just a minute.
I'm ready for the show.
Right. First, I need to find the toy. I wonder where you've got to find that toy first. Where's your toy? So this toy, which she absolutely loves, I made it myself. It's a stick with a bit of string. We've got a toy mouse and some tissue paper that makes it sort of like a bat. And it's a bit like Hammer House of Horror bat, right? As you can see. You can remember those bats, yeah? So it's got that nice little touch. You remember Dracula, like the bat would come in like this, you know? She's
It's really
she's
excellent.
already off. She's into it already. So here we go. Right. So we're on the sofa. This is what she loves the most. This is the game she really loves. You ready? You gonna do it? You gonna perform for the audience? She's not in the mood. Look, she's not in the mood. What's going on? Yeah, here we go. She's getting there. She's getting there. She's on her way. Come on, come on. Here we go. Here we go.
There you go. Yeah, she's loving it.
Yay! Well done. That will do. Whee! Knock the barrier. There you go. Did that work? Would that work?
Yeah,
Not bad, eh? She absolutely loves that game. It's her favorite game. She'll do somersaults and everything at times.
very good.
I'll get to watch that on the stream now.
It was a good.
Anyway, I'm going to close the stream. I'll watch it now. But thanks a lot for joining in, guys. We'll be back next week with some more code. Hopefully, Andy will be feeling better, and I'll tell him to watch this stream. Dom, stay on the stream for a short period, and we'll finish off.
Yeah, I'll try to do some homework for next week.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys, and as always, happy coding. Very few
Good night.
technical problems today, so great. And there she is. Look in the background. Very, very tiny cat. She's far away and small. Anyway, good night, guys. Bye bye.